Hey, it's Marina, travel experta, and today we're going to be talking about the Bay Islands in the Caribbean of Honduras, Roatan. Are you guys ready for an adventure? Let's begin. All right, Roatan. If you guys have heard of the Bay Islands of Honduras, there's three specific islands. Roatan is the largest by far. It's also where the most amount of the resorts are, the most beautiful white sanded blue water beaches are. And there's also Utila, and I have an entire episode on Utila, which is the one of the best places in the world for diving. It's also one of the cheapest places in the world to learn how to dive. But again, I said I have that as a separate episode, so please go back and listen to this. Right now, I want to talk about Roatan, Honduras. It is one of the most beautiful islands that you could possibly imagine visiting, especially when you are in Central America. A lot of people don't realize that you could visit these Caribbean islands from Central America. A lot of people think it's just the Caribbean islands. However, Roatan is one of these amazing islands where also cruise ships come into. It's resorts. You could stay in beautiful Airbnbs right on the Caribbean Sea. So there are several ways to get to the island. One is to fly into Honduras, into the capital, and then take a smaller flight out to the actual island of Roatan. Another way is to fly in to the main city, the main international airport, and then drive to San Pedro Sula. And you could take a ferry that will take you directly to the island. So there are different ways to go there. And from there, you could also take a ferry to go to Utila or to go back to the mainland of Honduras. The main town of Roatan is called West End Town. It's this adorable beach, sandy streets, dirt road little town, which has a ton of restaurants and cafes and bars. And it still has that local Caribbean feel, which really, no matter where you are staying on the island, going and visiting and just hanging out there is really, really fun. The majority of the people, or the resorts, I should say, that people stay in is in the West Bay area. This is where the majority of the resorts are. There are definitely some Airbnbs. However, you could stay on Airbnbs pretty much anywhere, but the West Bay area is the more populated area. The rest of the island is really large, and yes, there are resorts and residentials that you could stay in, but it's more popular to stay in the West Bay area or the West End town. When we visited, and I've been to Roatan quite a lot of times, we've always stayed in that particular area. What is a really cool thing to do is to rent a scooter. This way you could go and visit wherever you want all through the island, and it's really cheap to get around. You could take kids up to, any age. I know that a lot of places restrictions, they do give you helmets. So it's a really cool way to get around. Now, you could definitely go diving in Roatan because diving overall in the Bay Islands is one of the most popular activities to do. But if you're not into diving, or you prefer to go snorkeling, snorkeling is an incredibly popular activity as well. And that you could do with any age and any level. There are many different organizations or many operators that will take you snorkeling, or you could just rent snorkeling equipment from wherever you are staying and pretty much go right out there. It's really, really easy to get around. Another cool thing to do is to take a glass bottom boat tour. And of course, pretty much understanding glass bottom boat, you can see everything at the bottom right away, right there. So it's a really interesting thing that you could do as well. It's a few hours, it's not expensive, and it's super fun. What me and my son did, we did a submarine tour. Now, submarine tour is a lot more costly. It's around $500 per person, but you go in a real live submarine. I mean, it is something that you will never be able to do anywhere else in the world. I think maybe there's one other opportunity like this, and it is in Bali. So if you are really interested and you are okay with spending a little bit extra money, check out the submarine tour. in Roatan. Definitely worth the experience. I mean, you're going down like almost 1,300 meters. Like you're really going far down. Interestingly enough, very little marine life is seen there, but it just the idea of being that far down in a real submarine is mind blowing. Another really cool thing to do there is to go to the monkey and sloth hangout. It's a rescue center for monkeys and sloths, and there's also macaws and other animals that more like parrots, but the monkey and sloth hangout is probably the coolest part of it simply because you could have the sloths go on top of you. You could have the monkeys sit on top of your head. It's a really interesting thing. It's called Daniel Johnson's Monkey and Sloth Hangout, and it's literally on the other side of the island. So if you have a scooter, super easy to get to. Otherwise, you could take an Uber or a taxi, and it's easy to get to. A lot of times when we visit different places all around the world, we like to eat really local. And the most local yummy food that you could experience there is called the baleada. So what is a baleada? It's tortillas, and they could put in many different things, beans, meat, eggs, seafood, but you could find them all over the place. The majority of them are outdoors. Um, yeah, the outdoors could be a little bit tricky because you don't know if it's clean enough, but you could go to any local eatery or comedor and just order the baleada. So if you're going to be visiting Roatan, I recommend at least 3 or 4 days to stay there. Another really cool thing that I want to mention, if you are staying in different parts of the West End, West Bay area, you could take water taxis to take you all around. And that's another really good way to get around that area. But it's a little bit too far if you're all the way on the other side of the island, simply because the waters could get a little bit rough. So it's easier to get around by taxi, or car taxi, or Ubers or scooter. So these are all the different ideas. So I would recommend 3 or 4 days minimum to spend in Roatan. Obviously, if you can spend a week or more, you'll get that much more out of it because the beaches are beautiful. You could hang out on the beaches, enjoying the bay because it is a bay, really calm waters for snorkeling, for diving, and for so much more. If you guys have more questions about what to do in Roatan, let me know. I am happy to tell you all about it. And you can get a whole list of other cool things you could do in travelexperta.com. It's travel expert with an A.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a review and share it with your friends. And remember to make every day an adventure.